Blessed be, what's up everybody? My name is Bill Sheets, aka Mannun. You are watching Witch in the Working, where we will be discussing all things witchy, in and out, throughout, about, above, below, and beyond. That being said, roll intro. Welcome back everybody. So, like I was saying, my name is Mannun, and I've decided to start this series on Wicca, Witchcraft, and Paganism to share with everybody out there, beginners and people who are experienced alike. I think everybody can get something, a little something from it. So to introduce myself, I've been a practicing witch for 29 years. Yep, 29 years. Don't judge. Don't judge. I belong to a British traditional style of witchcraft. I've run a coven for the last 20 years right here in South Florida, sunny South Florida. Met a lot of great people in my time doing this. Met a lot of strange people in my time doing this, but in the end, I love them all, for real. So, like I said, I'm creating this series, Witch in the Working, to share my experiences, to share my teachings, to share what I've learned over the last 29 years. Whether you're experienced or a beginner, I really feel like we have a lot we can share with each other moving forward. I plan on making this a lengthy series. I plan on being here for a while, so, you know, we can be good friends. Today we'll be talking about Wicca, witchcraft, and paganism. What is the difference? For those of you who are just beginning this path, you're going to hear those terms quite a bit. And again, you're going to hear them interchanged very loosely in the community. So hopefully we can clear some of that up today. Paganism is an umbrella term that basically describes any religion today that is not one of the Abrahamic religions, one of the 3 to 4 or 5 main religions that exist today. That mainly being Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism. It is a term used interchangeably to describe any religion that is non-Christian or a pre-Christian type religion. So to give you some examples of paganism, there are quite a few religions that are considered pagan. We have Wicca, we have Druidism, we have Asatru, we have eclectic paganism, shamanism, Roman polytheistic reconstructionism, Hellenism, Slavic native faith, heathenry, Celtic Reconstructionist paganism, and Discordianism, just to name a few. There's many more, that's just to name a few right off the bat. So what does the word pagan actually mean? So the word pagan derived from the Latin word paganus, which meant country dweller. Similarly, the word heathen meant one who dwells on the heath, or on the hillside. Paganism was a term used by the early Christians to describe the Roman Empire, who, as everybody knows, was a polytheistic culture who believed in many gods. Paganism ultimately became a term to describe the religion of the peasants. It was kind of meant as a term of inferiority, that, you know, these people were lesser than the Christians, for instance. Ultimately, paganism was a term coined to explain anybody who did not believe in the one true God, which means they believed in multiple gods and goddesses. But just to be clear, a lot of people don't realize this, Christianity itself is an umbrella term. There are many faiths, many sects of Christianity beneath the term Christianity. For instance, you have Episcopalian, Baptist, Presbyterian, Methodist, Lutheran, etc. I mean, it goes on and on. So that kind of briefly explained paganism to a degree, where it's basically an umbrella term. It encompasses quite a bit. So now let's talk about a witch. What is a witch? The definition of a witch is a woman thought to have magic powers, especially evil ones, popularly depicted as wearing a black cloak and pointed hat and flying on a broomstick. Your typical Hollywood witch. So, witchcraft really is the practice of magical abilities and skills. Therefore, a witch is a person who practices magical skills and abilities. A witch can be a man or a woman, and no, male witches today are not called warlocks. Although, personally, I think the word warlock sounds cool as hell. I just like it. Warlock. It's just, I like it. Witches will typically use nature and nature's energies to cause change in conformity with their will. Witches throughout the past have always been known to, and even today, have always been known as helpers in the community, have always been known as the healing women, the midwives, the healing men and women. They would do things for the villagers to help them in everyday life with their needs, to help them have a successful crop, to help them have fertility. They would perform divinations or readings to help calculate a pending event or situation. Witches were always known throughout the communities to be wise ones, and they were always considered to be helpers. They would create herbal remedies and medicines to help the sick. All of these practices were benign. Now, of course, there were some witches that, as per every person out there, you're either good or bad per you. But of course, there were some situations where negative things were drawn upon also. But for the most part, witches were there as the healers and doctors and lawyers and assisters for the villages. And still are today. In a lot of places. That being said, witchcraft is not a religion. It is a skill set that can be utilized with or without a religious structure. There are and have been witches all over the world for centuries. There are people who practice today witchcraft in Africa, Europe, South America, North America, Australia, China, all over, Asia, everywhere. This isn't to say that all of these witches practice the same thing. Per culture, per country, just like everything else, it changes, it's different, it's to their liking, their taste. But definitely there's witches practicing magic peoples will say, practicing magic, helping others, where these beliefs still stand all over the world, guaranteed. There are religions that practice magic within their workings. A lot of times these are coined religio-magic. Some of them include Wicca itself, Santeria, Voodoo, the Shakta, which is a tradition from Hinduism, and even sects of Christianity practice magic. Even though they probably don't realize it, they're definitely practicing forms of magic, especially Catholicism. So breaking that down, I've been saying the word magic quite a bit. What is magic? Magic is from the Greek word magick. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. List down in the comments below if somebody can help me with that one. But it's spelled like this. And interesting about that spelling, I'm sure you'll notice reading books and the internet and whatnot, when you're reading about magic and witchcraft or Wicca or whatever you tend to pick up these books about, you'll see the word magic spelt with CK a lot of times, which was actually termed by Aleister Crowley. He was the one that added the K at the end, and that was to differentiate between the magic of illusionists that was big during his time and the magic that we're talking about today. Aleister Crowley is the reason that K is there, and he probably got it from the spelling from the Greeks. Modern magic involves behaviors, actions, and methods intended to interact with and influence the supernatural world, usually involving the use of an occult or secret body of knowledge. There's many types of magic. There's candle magic, poppet magic, gree bags, wart cutting, incense, oils, brews, coven magic, solitary magic, air magic, fire magic, earth magic, water magic. Seriously, there's a lot of magics. A lot of magics. You'll learn that. There's a lot. So finally, last but not least, let's talk about Wicca. Wicca is a European-based religion that was resurrected by one Gerald Gardner in the 1950s. Now, I'm going to repeat that again. Resurrected, not created, as a lot of people tend to say or think. It was resurrected, not created by Gerald Gardner. And I emphasize that. Wicca, for the most part, embraces the practice of witchcraft by its followers. Now, that's not to say that all Wiccans practice magic, but most of the Wiccans I know practice magic. In fact, I don't know a Wiccan ever that doesn't practice magic. But that's just me. The word Wicca, or Witta, is an Anglo-Saxon word that translates to wise one. The Witan in the old days were the council that the Anglo-Saxon kings would call to order to help with heavy political decisions and other subjects that involved heavy thinking. So what are some of the common attributes that would make up the definition of a person who is Wiccan, who practices the Wiccan religion? Well, for starters, Wiccans are very in tune with nature. They're very in tune with the rhythms of nature, the rhythms of the earth. We are very environmentally conscious. Most all Wiccans that I've ever known anyhow recycle, care very much about the earth, are very active environmentally. We as Wiccans also have our holidays. Just like most other religions. We celebrate with the rhythms of nature, however. We have 8 Sabbats that we celebrate in a year, which also involve the equinoxes and solstices. These Sabbats are quarters and cross quarters, or what we call them. And we'll go over those in another episode to come. Along with these Sabbats, we also celebrate the lunar cycles monthly. Most all Wiccans celebrate the full moon. Some Wiccans also celebrate the new moon. Wiccans believe in a god and a goddess. It makes sense for us to believe in a god and a goddess because everything in nature is masculine and feminine. Most everything that is part of creation is so because of a masculine and feminine energy. Even something as basic as energy itself has a male and female, or a positive and negative polarity to bring it into creation. So it only makes sense to us that there be a god and a goddess. Most Wiccans believe in a spiritual world too, not just this physical world. We believe that there are many worlds within and without, and that we have connections with these worlds and the beings within those worlds. So it is not uncommon for Wiccans to have rituals or have workings where we are communicating with these spirit worlds. We also see Wicca as a way of life. It's not just a weekend thing. We live our religion. It's every day. It's in us. We breathe it. We consume it. It's part of us. It's a living energy. It makes us who we are. It's ingrained in our soul. Simply calling yourself a witch doesn't make you a witch. Neither does a hereditary line or any tradition that you may follow. A Wiccan seeks to control the forces within her or himself that makes life possible in order to live wisely and without harm to others and in harmony with nature. You will find that there are a lot of religions out there that are anti-Wiccan or anti-witchcraft. The only animosity that Wiccans hold towards any of these other religions is when they try to push the fact that their one true God is the only real true God. And that's fine, but don't push it on us. We have our beliefs. Respect our beliefs as we respect yours. Don't make us your devils because of your ignorance. Most Wiccans believe in reincarnation. This is important because Wiccans believe that it takes many lifetimes to become who we are today. We believe that for every incarnation on this earth, we're here to learn lessons. And these lessons accumulate over many lifetimes. I'm sure many of you have heard the term, that person's an old soul. When somebody is called an old soul, usually it's because they're very wise and they're very humble in their livings. It's believed that this person has lived many lifetimes to become this way. So I hope that cleared up a little bit more about Wicca as far as what it means, what it is. We'll be talking a lot more about that in future lessons to come, in future episodes to come. Today, Wicca is one of the fastest growing religions in the world. It's by leaps and bounds every year it grows. I've watched it over the last 29 years expand into, it's just incredible. Here in South Florida, there's a Wiccan, a witch on every corner. I mean, we have so many functions here that South Florida is kind of an open place. It's not really constricted in any way. There's a lot that goes on here. There's festivals all the time. There's pagan festivals going on, pagan pride days, Beltanes, Samhains. I mean, it's like endless. Every week there's something going on here that's pagan based. Huge drumming circles that do rituals and whatnot. I mean, it's a great time to be alive. It's a great time to be a witch. We don't have to have a person that has a rank that we have to go to talk to God, and then we do everything through that person. No, as a Wiccan, God and Goddess are in here. When we want to talk to God and Goddess, go for it. They are listening always, right here. You do not have to go anywhere. There's no Pope of Wicca. You direct connect to the God and Goddess. Direct connect. Bang. Just as is, there's no master book in Wicca. There's no master text saying you have to do this and these are the rules. The only rule that most Wiccans follow in the world is, and it harm none, do as you will. And what that means is, do whatever you want as long as you don't hurt anyone or anything, including yourself. Now, that's not to say that there's no Wiccans or witches in the world that don't follow this and that will cause harm. But they are under the understanding and they know and accept the responsibility of that threefold law coming back to them, that retribution coming back to them. In Wicca, we have a belief that if we do good and send good out, we get it back threefold. The same goes for negativity and bad things. We send out negativity, we have to accept the responsibility that it is going to come back threefold. And when it does, we are ready to accept that responsibility. We do not have a Satan or a devil to blame everything on. As Wiccans, we accept responsibility for our actions. That actual concept is tough for a lot of people to ingest, but yeah, we accept our responsibilities. We can't point fingers at an all negative being and say the devil made me do it. Doesn't work that way in Wicca. You're responsible for your life. It's that simple. I don't see what's so hard to ingest. It's pretty simple. Very humbling, actually. But anyway, I am so excited and so happy that you spent this time with me and listened to me ramble on about witchcraft, witches, paganism, Wicca. There is so much to cover on this subject going forward, and I plan on doing many vlogs to come to cover a lot of those subjects. There are a lifetime. I could go on forever. I mean, there's so much to go over and cover. This is just barely scraping the surface, just talking about what we just talked about today. And very general. I think that's why I started off with it, because I'm trying to take this series in a progression of starting at point A and working, to the points going forward. Please hit the subscribe button down below, ring that bell. It's the only way YouTube's gonna tell you that I made another vlog, which I should be making another one in about another week or two. And going forward, figure bi-weekly, I'm gonna make another vlog. So yeah, subscribe and hit that bell so that you can come, we can spend some time together again. My name is Mannun. You're watching Witch in the Working, and I'm a witch in the working, and I'm thinking you're a witch in the working too. So come back and let's do this. See you later.